good evening from my little tent in the woods. So I've been meaning to camp here for a while and do some wild camping, and after working a few days back at work, I think I worked about 9 days, which meant I got 4 days off and I got 2 days holiday, so I got 6 days off, which is awesome. So I thought I'd wild camp. It's not meant to rain, but there's quite a few midges around here, so I thought I'd just put my inner tent up and enjoy some cover. I'm currently downstream from a mill. I was going to sleep closer to the river, and then I found this kind of like flat spot up here, so I thought I'd camp here for the night. But I do plan on going down there in the morning just to chill out down there. Here's my supper. People normally ask me what I do when I wild camp, and like the people I live with, I guess they're not very adventurous as me, so they've never really wild camped, and I normally get asked what do I do whilst I'm here, and I guess it's a mix of relax and getting out the house. I read or I write, just enjoy the moment. Sometimes I don't do anything, I just bring my gas stove and my kettle and keep it simple. But I do normally go to bed quite early. I was pretty tempted to camp on the hillside above because the sun is still out. It's setting about 10 these days. Solstice was yesterday and the moon was so full just now. But I thought I would stick to down here, and I'll save another evening for like sleeping on top of a hillside. Like apart from wild camping, I also have done urban camping when I was like travelling, just to save money, because it was cheaper to just wild camp than book a night in like a hostel. In my video from hitchhiking around Japan, how much I saved from wild camping, because every night I would go on booking.com and see how much the nearest accommodation was and keep a note of it, so I made note of how much I saved. It was only for like 6 weeks hitchhiking around, but I saved about £1,000 from hitchhiking and wild camp or urban camping. I remember this one night I was urban camping. I think it's the gateway to, I think it's Nikko National Park, and I camped in the area twice. Like I camped before I entered the park and then slept in the park. This was at a campsite this time, and then we returned to the gateway entry village, and it was raining cats and dogs. It was so bad. I think the accommodation was extortionate, or it was just fully booked. I think it was fully booked because it was on the weekend. So I ended up pitching my tent in this kind of, on the edge of this turning around circle for taxis. What was weird is that I'd seen people camping there. Like, I think there was a group of like 5 guys who were on a bike tour, and they'd pitched their tents there. I saw a hawk, but they pitched their tents there, so I thought I would do the same. I remember waking up about 2 a.m. hearing the shuffling sound. I don't normally, as you can tell, I don't normally pitch my entire tent unless I have to, and even though I was sheltered, I put the outer cover on just to give me some kind of like privacy, and people are less likely to approach the tent if they think you're like a homeless person. And I heard the shuffling, and it turned out to be this taxi driver who's just walking in circles, shuffling, looking at my tent. Like I think I must have, annoyed him in some way, camping where I wasn't supposed to. And he was just shuffling his feet. I think he went on for about 15 minutes. Thankfully, he must have got a call and drove away. But yeah, that was a bit annoying. Thankfully, like I've always had good camping experiences, either like urban camping or wild camping, even solo and with people. I made the mistake of being lured to really nice tall grass in the height of summer. I remember I did this in New Zealand and also in the edge of Northern California, where it was so dry, and my friend and I had seen this like field. It was like next to this old park. We just cowboy camped on it without a tent, and there was a reason why the grass was so lush and green, is because at about 6 a.m. a sprinkler system turned on. That was probably the quickest I've ever woken up and got out my sleeping bag. Another thing is, I also did this in New Zealand. I slept in Queenstown in their park, and I got woken up by the sprinkler system. That came on at 3 a.m. So yeah, I think one of my most unnerving camping experiences was in Japan, and I was camping in, I think it's Kumamoto. I'd hitched there, and the thing about Japan is there's always people around, just because it's such a crowded country. It's a tiny bit bigger than the UK. I think we've got like 65 million, whereas in Japan they've got 128 million people. So there's always people around, and like their apartments are so small, they kind of take advantage of all the parks. And I remember walking around, it was quite late, it was dark in September, so I guess it was around like 9 o'clock at night. I was trying to find somewhere to like pitch my tent, but there were people everywhere. I wandered to the castle, which was closed because of an earthquake the previous year. I ended up finding this old samurai residence. It was like boarded off, so I know I wouldn't be disturbed, so I kind of like went past the barrier and like camped in the doorway, which was like very overgrown. And I had this dream, kind of like an out of body experience, that I was about 20 meters watching my tent, and a group of people walked up to my tent, and then I brought myself up, kind of opened the door and looked out. Thankfully no one was there, it was just like my dream. But yeah, that was probably one of the most unnerving scenarios I've had. But I guess a dream's not bad at all, as opposed to other things that can happen. Sadly, there's no change with the tiny house at the moment. Like, after working, I went home for Father's Day weekend, saw my family, and obviously going back to work, I just haven't been able to do anything on the tiny house. So there's nothing to report there. A nice bit of news is that I now have my motorbike here. It's just a small little bike, even though I do have my full licence. So I was able to ride that back here from my parents. Got caught in the rain, which I should have checked the weather, but yeah, that was not fun. And for some reason now my electric start won't start. It's annoying because I got my MOT done, passed fine, the electric start was fine, and then when I left, it wouldn't start. Luckily it's got a kickstart, so I can just use that. But yeah, I'm gonna have to, I guess, look into that and try and fix my electric start. I'm sure it's fine, and that's the only way you kind of learn, is when something goes wrong, you fix it. Like, I've done a few things on my bike, like changing bulbs, I changed the chain, sorted my oil, I changed the front sprocket. So things like that. Because like, 125 is really easy to learn. So I need to look into that electric side of it. Man, it's about 20 to 10. It's still crazy how light it is, but I guess that's what you get for camping a day after the summer solstice. Man, I slept so well. I think I fell asleep at about just after 10. I think I woke up about an hour ago, about 6, and it's so lovely to wake up here. So I'm going to head down to the river now. Upriver there's like an old mill, and along either side of the stream there's an old, it's been built by hand, like an old stone wall, which is really cool. There's some little houses which are up there, and I found a little path which leads away from one. So I think someone must come down here, because there's a little handmade bench halfway down, and another 2 little handmade benches around a little campfire. So I think someone must come down and relax. So yeah, I'll pack up and then we'll go down there.